Now her hand is raised, a sword to pierce the sun. With iron shield she defends the faithful. Let chaos be undone. The Chant of Light, the Book of Victoria, Chapter 1, Verse 3. Hello, and welcome to the fourth session of Victory, Vigilance, and Sacrifice, a Dragon Age story of the Fourth Blight. This tabletop role-playing game uses the Dragon Age video game setting developed by BioWare and the officially licensed tabletop game published by Green Ronin. Thanks also to Incompetech, aka Kevin MacLeod, for creating the wonderful music you'll hear tonight. Incompetech can be found through the Roll20 app, which we will also be using. As a content note, the Dragon Age setting is not a nice place. Warnings persist across this chronicle for war violence, sickness, undead, and terrible choices made in terrible circumstances. We employ the X card for player safety. And so, tonight, join us in telling a story of the Fourth Blight. First, Warden recruits, tell us a little bit about who you are and where we can find you when you're not fighting Darkspawn, and who your character is.
Hey everybody, I'm Ambrose. My pronouns are he or they. You can find me all over the internet as AmChangeling. You can find me on Etsy at Thornkind. You can find me tonight playing Galen, whose pronouns are he or they. I think that was yes. And let's see. He's an elf, and I slowly collect more cosplay as we go on.
I love the ears.
Hello. I am Devin. You can find me online at Sword of Sullied, and tonight I am playing the blacksmith, New Grey Warden, Garrick.
That was very short. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve. My pronouns are he, him. You can find me on the internet at Voodoo Arcade, and tonight I am playing Jurgen, the Tranquil Mage. Healer. Medic.
And hello, I am Brody, the Rabba one on Twitter, so long as it stands. And I will be playing Harold Wynn, the very, very sociable scoundrel that somehow got sucked into this whole adventure.
Sorry, my cat was distracting me. Thank you all. As for me, I am your game runner, Rachel. You can find me at Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere on the internet, including the Burning Bird app, MySpace, Instagram, YouTube, and Hive. You can also find previous episodes of this show and other shows run on this channel on YouTube, where we would love your likes and subscribes on our trek to 1,000 subscribers. We'd also appreciate your subscription to this channel, but unlike Twitch, subscribing on YouTube is free. That's out of the way, it is recap time. Brody, would you care to read a summary of what happened last session?
I shall, and I will do so as quickly as possible, so it is indeed a summary. A bit of a rewind, and we find Rory seeking out Lander. Rory wants to know Lander's story, and the Blood Mage does a dramatic retelling of his origins. Then the two trade compliments as well as generously flirty repartee. The resulting verdict is to escape into the Western Marches to be themselves. Until the Great Escape occurs, the journey occurs in which the traveling party finds the Griffins and fights the gruesome Darkspawn that have reanimated the Griffin corpse. That night, Rory sneaks into Lander's tent and discusses their getaway. Galen awakes, hearing the whisperings, and attempts to stop them. Harrowwind discourages him, and as the escapees leave Visaya, makes to follow them and sends Galen a reassuring gesture. Riding through the woods, Lander and Rory encounter a group of Templars, who will escort them to a destination. To the West Marches, right? Oh no, to the Circle, where Templars take any and all mages. A blood mage noble from Tevinter is no exception. Rory and Lander are temporarily stripped of their magic and made unconscious. They both awaken to the rest of the group rescuing them and return to Val Royeaux. On return to the Grey Warden Haven, Rory seeks out Lander once more. The previously nonchalant warden candidate shares his concerns and newfound cause with Lander. This possible blight has invigorated a desire in Rory to protect Lander, and forswear the Templars as enemies for their poor treatment towards Lander. At the joining ceremony, Rory's fate is revealed to Lander, though he does not quite realize the full capacity of Rory's death, assuming it is all a joke. The lovelorn blood mage takes his drink and feels the intense pain of transformation we have all felt. When Rory doesn't rise, Lander slowly understands and falls atop Rory's body in an attempt to resuscitate. He hyperventilates in his grief and sees darkness. Lander comes to in the feasting hall, and Garahel tells the mage of the funeral pyre in case he wishes to attend. Instead of finding solace in this invitation, it invigorates his grief and he storms off to be alone. Harold, Wynne, and Garrick hear Lander's cries and go to comfort him. Approaching with gentleness in her step, Isaiah gives Lander the amulet that would have gone to Rory, in an attempt to provide him some ease in his grief. The three return to the feast and get absolutely smashed, each for different reasons. At the funeral, Lander says a few slurred words with passionate presence, and takes a lock of Rory's hair in a promise to make it an incredible story. The pyre is set alight, and when the ceremony is complete, each moves on to their own room. Lander dreams that night, but not of anything peaceful or rejuvenating. He dreams of traveling through the forest and all the greenery becoming rotted and decayed. When gathering the next day with Hubble, the news is broken to the wardens of the approximate lifespan, only an additional 20 to 30 years from this point on. Some handle it well, but others not so well. Our first trip as wardens is to the Green Dales, which we travel to by griffin. Throughout the journey to Antiva, we see black patches of land where the Darkspawn clawed their way out of the ground. It is concerning, but important to pay attention to. With warm welcomes, the King and Queen greet us on our arrival. The head of the Grey Warden's order in Antiva, Tarab, greets us as well. It turns out a banquet is to be held in our honor this evening. Lander Pavis offers magnanimous compliments for the city and its beauties. During the conversation, Harold Wynne sneaks off to the kitchens and changes into some plainclothes to better fit in with the class of folk he is more accustomed to as companions. He finds out some information via servant gossip. He also has more pointed questions for the treatment of the servants, of elves, and the pay. It is then that Harold learns of an elf leading rebellion in Tevinter, one that bears faded Dalish facial tattoos. When the head cook calls for the disguised Harold Wynne to get the garlic dicing, he reveals himself and offers the right of conscription to any who are unhappy workers. The head cook offers to feed any who consider it to the head demon himself. Garrick seeks out a smithy, aiming to remove the Templar marks from the armor we had collected. He does so successfully, though it looks as if someone has made the shields in a mimicry of the Templar style. Our tranquil Jurgen seeks out a library to research whether or not he can come back into contact with the Fade, his logic deciding that he may be more useful to the Grey Wardens if he could use his original magic once more. He finds a small, obscure account of a bard that gives him a crumb of information that doesn't reveal much in the way of reaching the Fade again. It does, however, reveal that the Darkspawn can reach dreams themselves. Away with what little is familiar to him, Galen is in the stables with Arrow. The young servants there seem to be staring, giggling, and making busy work within eyeshot of the Dalish elf. He learns from them they're just curious, asking about Dalish ships, his face tattoos, and if he knows the elf from Tevinter. He learns this elf is named Tavriel, but can't get any other tidbits of information from the young servants. Tarab begins the banquet by regaling us with the tale of the last blight, stories woven of the stirring end to the Third War against the Darkspawn. We are enraptured by the imagery of bravery and might. At the banquet table sits Kalian, a mage who wears a hooded robe decorated with black feathers. Amadis, an attractive being of noble bearing with short dark hair and an athletic build. Next to Lander Pavis is an Orlesian ambassador named Roland. Next to Jurgen, an envoy from Ortan Theg by the name of Delvan Ortan. Next to Garrick, Eleonora, who is Ferelden envoy. And finally, next to Harel sits none other than Tavriel, bearing beautiful blonde hair and the faded Valaslin. Lander asks Harold Wynne if they can switch seats but Harold turns him down sassily. The denial fuels Lander more, and he shows off his persuasion skills, wrangling the seat on the other side of Tavriel. For possibly the first time, Lander and Harold work together and tease out Tavriel's attention, while also noticing this elf is a bard. His Dalish facial tattoos, his Valasline, look like stylized bows though faded with lack of upkeep. Mythal's symbols. Our blood mage and our alienage elf introduce themselves and where they're from, Lander doing so in the language native to Tevinter. Garrick strikes up a conversation with Eleonora, and she then asks him how long he's been a warden. He responds with, "Long enough." This is true, as the memories of his child and wife crawl agonizingly through his memories. Kalian is curious about Jurgen, and speaks with the Tranquil as if he is no Tranquil, until the Black Road Mage realizes. Jurgen is asked how a Tranquil came to be in the Grey Wardens, and Jurgen retells the story with flat affect, clearly being unmoved, as he is unable. Kalian requests the Templars' names who had done this heinous thing to the Grey Warden, and Jurgen realizes this mage is an Antivan Crow, an assassin. He intends to get revenge in Jurgen's stead, not realizing that these Templars were already dispatched for their crimes. Another detail the Tranquil observes are scars hidden, albeit not so well as they are seen, on Kalian's wrist. Jurgen asks about the Feathered Mage's feelings on a lack of army facing the Darkspawn, and he reveals that Antiva is relying on their walls. The Grey Warden states with no abashed tone that the walls will not be enough. The High Table's conversation carries across the way, referencing the same subject. Thoughts of evacuation are mentioned, but the king declares that in no way his people will give up their city. Harold Wynn chimes in, first complimenting his majesty on his courage and bravery, but that perhaps the king might let the small folk go, as they are not fighters, but could live. At this point, Hubble speaks plainly. The defenses must be evaluated, and the countryside must be scouted. He asks which of the Grey Wardens are willing to do which tasks. Jurgen interjects that none of this will matter. Walls, scouting, no one will survive if no one is there to fight. Everyone will die.
Excellent. So, on that happy note, we begin. So thank you, Ambrose, for taking notes. Thank you, Brody, for reading the recap. I'm trying to figure out if I'm about to sneeze.
No.
I think it's a false alarm. Alright, so, you have 2 tasks laid before you, and you can decide in what manner you would like to complete them. Essentially, you can do them together, you can split into teams, but the first order of business is to evaluate the defenses of the city, see if there are any weaknesses that can be ameliorated. Sorry, my cat's being weird.
Isn't that like the definition of cat, though?
Yes.
Cat being cat.
Yes, the cat is being a cat. Yeah, so, and possibly also evaluate what the City Watch, their strength, their capabilities, and then the other one is to scout the land outside Antiva and get a picture for what's going on out there. So those are the 2 big things to do. Meanwhile, Garahel plans to stay behind and essentially liaise with the royal family, while Isaiah is going to go speak with the mages in the circle, in the Antiva circle. So, how would you like to divide yourselves?
I'm something of a city boy, so I think poking around those walls is probably my thing.
Okay.
Also, no point in scouting if we find out that this place can't be defended.
Yeah. I don't know how much I could help with inside. But I see myself doing more of that than the scouting.
I'm for the scouty bits.
Okay. Who wants to bring Jurgen? Because he will go where he is told.
I think Jurgen should do the what was it? Isaiah's going with the mages.
Yes.
I think that would be a good plan. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, splitting the party is always a wise move.
Always a wise move.
Always.
yeah, I love splitting the party.
All right.
Split the party whenever you get the chance.
Especially if we split it by fighters, rogues, and wizards.
We have no wizard.
Damn it! You're going to electrocute yourself. Stop that.
Kind of mage. Just, specialized.
You can enchant, I think. No?
There's
Yeah,
nothing
so-
wrong
Not at
with-
the moment.
To catch Steve up, so you've got several tasks. One is to evaluate the defenses within the city. The other one is to go scout outside the city and see what the situation is there. And Isaiah is going to speak to the circle in Antiva City. So what would Jurgen like to do?
Doing a quick scan glance at Jurgen's capabilities here. I feel like a analysis of interior defenses would be the most in line with him.
Okay. So evaluating the defenses would be Jurgen and Harold? Okay, well, Garrick and Galen go scouting. Cool. And so we are sadly down a K. I think, Pax, you, won. So, let's start with evaluating the defenses of the city. So, you are led to meet a short, dark-haired architect and engineer named Fabrizia.
Fabrizia.
Hello.
Greetings, you're the wardens.
Yes.
Excellent. And your names, if you don't mind?
Jurgen.
Harold.
Alright, well, let's get going. And so, she leads you on a tour of the city walls. So, the walls are pretty sufficient. They're about 20 feet tall. They're wide enough for 3 people to walk in a line fairly comfortably. There are watchtowers at strategic points, and 6 ballistae. So those big, those big fuck-off artillery crossbows.
Hell yeah.
Nice, nice. And how many people do you have who know how to use them?
Ah, well, it's not that difficult to use them. You just load the javelins in here, crank the winch here, and then aim. You see that clearing over there? And so she points to a clearing some ways in the distance and says, that's usually, if the city's under siege, that's where the command camp sets up, and so that's where we've got 2 of our ballista aimed.
Right, but how many people know how to use it, particularly when they're being stabbed at? Or shot at? Or have a giant bloody darkspawn trying to climb the wall that's like already half as tall as it?
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
I just look at heroin.
So we're doing this to evaluate whether or not the city is able to withstand a potential invasion of Darkspawn as the pointy end of the stick of a blight. So I'm asking, how many people do you have who could run this without having full awareness that they exist because they're so scared?
Do you think this is actually a blight? I thought it was just a couple darkspawn coming to the surface.
Well, if you plan for a blight and it's only a couple darkspawn, what have you lost but, a few drinking nights? See, Jurgen, I can lie too. I say that audibly.
Oh, well, I suppose any number of the city watch could be taught. It doesn't take that long.
Well, wouldn't you rather they get taught now rather than in the middle of a fight?
I suppose I could arrange things with Captain Rodrigo.
It might even be good if we got Captain Rodrigo on this tour. Would that be possible?
Certainly.
But I think that'd be good. And while we're if you can send a messenger while we're waiting, why don't you teach me how to use it?
Certainly. So she summons, like, an intern, sends him to go collect Captain Rodrigo. And yes, so she walks you through the steps. It does seem pretty easy.
Mhm.
But go ahead and give me... This would be a perception roll.
Okay. That would be 12.
Okay. So, you figure out a couple things really fast. So you load the javelin into the ballistae, and you aim for a particular stand of trees. And that is not where the javelin lands. So aiming seems to be more of an art than the actual load fire. But if you're fighting an actual horde, who cares about aiming?
I mean, there's in the conversation. So again, easy to fire. You're right, but not easy to aim. And these things are probably should not be for the average, rank and file darkspawn. They should be for the big ones, or if they have siege engines or stuff like that, right? Or mages.
Do the darkspawn have siege engines or mages? What would a darkspawn do with magic?
Exactly. So, I'm thinking it might be worthwhile to have a few groups of city guard train together to make sure they can use these things quickly and accurately. Also, how many of these javelin things do you have?
6.
No, like
Oh,
the ammo.
javelins. We've got, I'll have to check. I think we've got at least 48.
Harold literally just like, you might want to make some more.
Well, how long do you think we have?
I don't know, but sooner is better. How long does it take to make one?
About a day?
And how many could you make at once?
That depends on how many blacksmiths I've got.
So, look, all I know is how to make sure that people on the ground can do things to make things hard for people who aren't on the ground. But you might want to get some organization here. You're gonna want to make the bullets for the thing and work out how to get those things from where they're made to the thing as quickly as possible. And you might want to put at least 1 or 2 blacksmiths on making them faster. They don't need to be pretty. They need to be something that can be launched quickly and accurately and hit something out there.
Well, but see, here's the problem. And so she picks up another one of the javelins and starts explaining some very technical aspects that have to do with ninja edits. I'm sorry, not ninja edits. I was reading and talking at the same time. Oh god,
I
my
like
brain.
the ninja edits.
Dude, my face moving
Aerodynamic
around.
is what I was trying to say. Oh,
I
fuck my
mean,
life.
that's technically a ninja edit.
Yeah.
Aerodynamics.
I am the closest thing we have to a ninja.
All right.
I am editing
So,
their strategy.
anyway, so she explains to you the various properties of aerodynamics, and technical aspects of the forging process. And it's a shame that Garrick isn't here because he could probably understand just what the fuck she was talking about. But the takeaway that you get is that the process of turning a bar of iron into the javelin head that will fly properly and has the correct amount of drag and balance, it's a skill.
Does it have to be metal? Could it be wood? With metal on the end, maybe?
No, that's the point. So essentially, like, you make the head of the javelin and then bolt it onto a thick wooden shaft.
Okay. So, again, so I get it's hard. Important to have more, and important to have enough for your teams to practice with. Because the first time you want them to shoot it at somebody to kill them, you don't want it to be the first time they pulled the trigger.
Alright, so, what is Jurgen up to while this is going on?
Jurgen is taking all of this in, but he is not speaking unless specifically asked because tranquil. However, in his head, this is, in his head, this is all a complete waste of time. Analysis shows that the better use of the iron metal would be to make as many swords as possible to put in the hands of people to throw at them, to throw at Darkspawn. Why give up 2 to 3 swords for one ballista?
So, give me... This would be a cunning roll, from both of you. And if you have anything related to military lore, that focus would apply.
Oh, hey, another thing that Garrick has.
I know, I'm really surprised you decided not to go on this mission.
Yeah, so Harold might be I think Harold's background being an agitator and organizer of rebellion and, civic disruption. Apparently, we're doing great because I rolled a 17.
Okay.
I rolled a 26.
I think you were rolling d10s, not d6s.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm like,
You cannot...
3d6
I could
Wait,
roll
wait.
5.
Way to be a cheaty McCheater.
I am, and I also rolled a 17.
Okay.
Jeez.
So, you both, as you talk to Fabricia, you realize that everything that she's telling you about the capabilities of the city and its defenses is from the perspective of a human army. She's like, well, we've aimed these 2 ballistae to where they, to the most convenient spot for them to have their command camp.
Darkspawn don't have command camps like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't fight like humans fight.
Right.
So these defenses are really good for withstanding a siege from a human army. But if there are enough Darkspawn, like, they'll just climb over the bodies of the dead and swarm the walls.
Yeah, the ballista might be more useful for picking out, targeting, like, leaders or people who are making obvious flash or are really big. They are not useful for stopping the swarms.
Correct.
Okay.
These are strategic weapons, or at least very particular tactical use.
Yes.
These are
And-
not win buttons.
Which means I do not advise or suggest any additional resources be provided to them. 8 shots apiece.
If we knew we had like months, maybe. But I don't think months is the measurement we're looking at here.
Agreed.
So I guess the thing is, could you break them down and turn them into spheres?
Oh no, they're far too heavy.
Could you get them so you could toss them over like a heavy weight when as needed?
So she's showing you the actual javelins, and like they are a lot heavier and a lot thicker than like a normal like person spear would be. So it would be difficult to repurpose the wood.
Except you could put some oil on them, light them on fire, and toss them over, and that would probably clear a small section of Darkspawn if they were climbing up.
So this idea appeals to her, and she starts figuring out how it could be done. And around this time is when Captain Rodrigo shows up. He's got a very athletic build. He's in his, mid to late 40s. He's got some salt and pepper going on in his hair and beard, and greets both of you like, yes, the wardens. I understand you've got questions about the city's watch. And he's also got like a cadre of watch soldiers behind him.
Well, I actually got a couple questions, and I've got questions and a couple of suggestions about how we might be able to hold this place. You know what the threat is, right?
I've been told that there's a possibility of being attacked by Darkspawn.
Right. So, I think the first question was, do you have anybody who actually knows how to use these things well?
And looks to the ballista like, that's really, the engineer's purview.
Okay, next question. How many arrows do you have saved up? How many javelins and barrels of oil and fire points do you have ready to go along the walls?
Well, let's see. Arrows. We have certainly hundreds. Barrels of oil. We don't really deal with that. That's a question for the merchants.
So, I see. This is a very siloed, guild-oriented place, right?
The culture of this place is very much tied to its merchant class.
So we might, just as a suggestion, you might want to get all the principals from all these different groups together so you can organize the skill sets. But as a city watch commander, where are the points in the city that you would least like to see rabble build barricades to resist your forces?
That I would least like, well, probably the stairways. And so, if you look at the picture that I posted in the Roll20, this is an illustration of Antiva City from one of the comics. And so you see, like, it's a multi-tiered city. And so there are a number of staircases to get from one level to the next, and that's what he's talking about.
But the point of entry from the outside would be higher or lower?
Higher or lower than what?
So, like, if you were to walk into the city, say you were, a horde of Darkspawn just running at the city and trying to break in, would you be entering above or below, or would you be at the bottom of the stairs, at the top of the stairs, in the middle?
Oh, yeah, at the bottom, because that is where it's, like, almost like the flat sea level land.
Okay. So, do you have a plan to put your people in these places to control all movement within the city?
You mean put the city on lockdown?
Yes.
It'll be difficult to handle both that and if we're supposed to be fighting off Darkspawn at the wall.
Funny that. Well, it sounds like there's engineers who might be able to handle some of the wall stuff. Because I'm just thinking, they're going to get in. If there's enough of them, they're going to get in. so you're going to want to be able to control where they go. And if
So,
the stairways are the choke point, you're going to want to be able to fill that with rubble or bodies or shields, or be able to decide what gets rubble and what gets bodies so that you can keep it open for others.
so I would like a communication roll from both of you, please. Yeah, just communication.
Okay. 17 again.
Okay.
9.
All right. So Jurgen,
I got the communication 5 in the party.
yeah. So Jurgen, you're still sort of like going over in your head. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! They're all gonna die. Harold, as you say, the Darkspawn are going to get into the city. Rodrigo's face stays stoic, but you can see the recruits behind him, who they look very young and they look very soft. Sort of, they look scared and start whispering amongst themselves.
They all look like they haven't really had trouble finding a meal to eat every day.
Yeah, so essentially, the city watch in Antiva, because Antiva doesn't have an army, so they have a city watch, which is about maybe 100 guys, who's they're the second and third sons of merchants, and the majority of their duties are wrangling drunks and breaking up street fights. The reason no one actually fields armies against Antiva is because that is how their leadership gets murked by the crows.
Right. This is going to sound like a funny question, but do you have contacts with any organized crime in the underbelly of the city?
Oh, you're going to want to talk to the crows.
Because you need bodies. You're gonna need a lot of bodies.
Well, we could.
Any hope of keeping the Darkspawn from becoming the new king and queen of Antiva.
You'll have to talk to the crows about that.
And I just want to get a sense. How would you feel if every laborer and poor person and elf in the alienage was given swords, armor, and shields?
I don't know that we have enough to go around.
But you wouldn't be you wouldn't be like, oh no, the entire society is going to collapse.
Oh.
So
No.
that's more of a, do we have the material problem than a we're all going to die, like we'd rather die than see the poor have weapons.
If it's as bad as you suggest, then we should probably think about evacuating the city instead.
Yeah, but that's not a decision we get to make for you.
That would also be detrimental.
Superiors.
That would also
Please.
be detrimental to the surrounding areas. You would be creating a refugee crisis and taking up medicinal materials. You should spend your lives delaying the advancing Darkspawn. That is your most usefulness right now.
Harsh. Harsh.
You have the most willing to find a way to say it so they'll listen, and least willing to find a way to say it so they'll listen people in the same group.
Okay.
I wouldn't have put it that way, but if you wanted to do your duty to all of Thetis, that would be what you would do.
So, with that bit of cheeriness out of the way, we are going to shift the camera to Garrick and Galen. Alright, so I would like animal handling rolls, because I'm assuming you're going on Griffinback.
And I can't use riding, or can?
There's a specific focus for riding horses and a specific focus for riding griffins, because one is on the ground and the other is essentially piloting the griffin.
Okay.
Because a fun story from World War I is that the pilots had to train themselves to look up and down as long as along with like side to side, because they weren't used to enemies coming up from above, and so that's why it's gonna be different focuses.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Straight fives. 15.
Cool.
Your mic.
Straight fives. 15.
Excellent.
I remembered to open everything except for my sheet. I'm getting on that, I swear. Green Ronin. Green Ronin. Yes, there it is. Let's see. Trans dice are the regular dice. Let's do my lavender die this time as my dragon die. God, I love that sound. Oh. Can I pass? I got 6.
Okay. So, Garrick, you find it fairly easy to maneuver your griffin. Galen, your griffin is in charge, and he's going exactly where he wants to go, and you're just along for the ride. So, fortunately, griffins are flock/herd animals.
Oh, thank goodness.
So, Arrow is following. Did we decide on a name for your griffin?
Gary!
Gary. Okay. So many G names. Gonna have to murder some of them.
Okay, I was gonna just say if we had to flavor text how they're following, since I had stunt dice, I sway the crowd, I sway the other griffin.
Okay, so Antiva City is supported by a wide patchwork of villages who all send fresh grain, vegetables, and meat to the capital. So each village has about half a dozen members of the guard, just as many knights, and about a dozen men-at-arms. So, about 24 people whose job is fighting. And if the farmers are armed, each village can mount a defense of about 40 to 50 fighters. So, a couple things that you also notice. Most of the villages don't have walls. They just sort of have farmsteads and then a town center. So it seems as though if danger is brewing, the plan is get to Antiva City and get behind their walls. A few have wooden palisades, but that's about it. So, you get about 50 miles southwest of Antiva City, and you're approaching an area called the Weirs. Weyrs. And so, you see a village under direct attack from Darkspawn.
Giddy up. Come on.
Wait, how many are there? Do we need to bring in reinforcements?
So there's about 40 to 50 here. Give me a perception check.
Both of us?
Yes, please.
Hopefully. Oh, thank goodness.
Okay. Does Detect Darkspawn help?
No.
Okay.
Does
It's
hearing
okay.
help?
No.
That's 14.
Okay.
Oh, that's better. Thank you. I got 2 6s on my regular dice and 1 on the dragon die. And then +2 for perception. Well, 15 total.
Okay, would you like to stunt because you got doubles?
Let's see if any apply. So that's exploration. Is that exploration?
Yeah.
Or would that be
So-
standard?
Either one that would apply.
Advantageous positioning.
Okay. All right. So, what you see is essentially a couple rings of activity. So there is a ring of wagons and carts that have formed a sort of a defensive wall. And behind the defensive wall, you see a lot of civilians. So, like the old people, children, people who look ill, are behind these wagons. And so, in front of the wagons are as many people who are armed and armored. So, you see, men at arms fighting with sword and shield in full armor. You also see farmers essentially wearing thick leather coats and wielding scythes. Not quite as disciplined as the fighting men. And then they are engaging with the darkspawn. And the one thing that jumps out at you that you realize is there are more people here than the building would suggest this village has the population of. And looking at, wow, that's a lot of wagons, that's a lot of carts, you realize people were fleeing to this village and then it was attacked.
Can we tell if they were fleeing from where we just came from? Like
They
any
were
standards
not.
or anything? Oh.
So they were coming from farther away.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
Oh, that's not a good sign at all. Who needs days? We have hours.
It sounds like it. Just because that was a lot of info for my brain. The darkspawn ratio to villagers ratio
Seems about even.
Okay, so we could probably, just by us joining, help them tip the scales.
If I use some military lore, could I figure a way to better use the terrain or anything to our advantage? Their advantage?
Yeah, go ahead and give me that roll.
Alright. Uh, 6, 4, 2, so 12, 13, 15.
Yeah, you and Galen are essentially air support, and so what you can do is pretty much dive bomb the darkspawn, have your griffins wreck their day, fly away, and pull aggro, essentially that way.
Alright, sounds good.
Okay, so in that case, let's see, I already made you roll animal handling. Give me a cunning roll. This is only for Garrick, since Arrow is going to follow whatever Gary does. And this would also allow your military lore to apply.
Oh, okay, good. That makes this a better roll.
Yeah, I rolled bad for a reason.
That's still not great, but that's 10. And it's with 2 stun dice.
Okay. What would you like? Would you like to spend your stunts?
I'm looking to see what it would be useful for. Ooh, I can knock whichever one we're going after prone. Yeah, I would look for a big one and knock it over. See if I can knock it onto some of the other darkspawn and kind of crush them.
Okay. So, we got a little bit of a late start, so we're not going to play this out round by round. But so this is really your first engagement with darkspawn, and it's your first time essentially learning how they fight and how you can use a griffin to fight them. So there's a little bit of a learning curve. And you see maybe about a quarter of the villagers fall before you rout the darkspawn. And so in the aftermath, the civilians sort of emerge from behind the barricade, and you see there's this older white-haired woman who starts tending the sick and the wounded. She will tell you, oh, thank you so much. We're so glad that you arrived when you did.
Where were you all coming from?
Oh, well, I live here. My name's Yasmina. I'm the healer. But we've had refugees come from the south over the past several days. Is it true what they say? That there's going to be a blight?
That may be.
The situation here confirms it.
Well, I guess the best thing to do would be to flee to the city.
Galen looks at Garrick like, do we say yes? Do we say no?
Yes. Lead everyone there as quickly as possible, I would say. It's at least a fortification.
Well, at the very least, we could take a ship from Antiva to somewhere else.
Yes. If there are ships left, there would be ships going out.
What do you mean ships left?
Well, supposing there might be a large population trying to leave, so...
Oh, well then we should get started as quickly as possible. And so she starts rounding up all the able-bodied people and get them in the wagons. Someone go get all the flour from the baker. And she seems to know what she's doing, and the people are listening to her. But you can definitely tell that everyone here is very, very afraid.
I'm not good at giving rousing speeches or anything to calm down populace. Galen?
That would be communication? Or... I have one in communication.
That's more than me.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yes. Give the.
Oh yeah. The elf.
I can't even get it out. Oh gosh. Hi. Yes, give the elf that hates humans the job of keeping them all safe.
Hey, your soft skills. You need to work on your soft skills, otherwise they're just.
I'll give it a shot, I guess? Question mark?
Shoot your shot.
Oh dear. Not bad. 16 total.
Okay. So, as someone from a nomadic setting, Galen, you're sort of used to the need to pick up and leave when the situation gets too bad. And so you know pretty much what to say. You know, you're not leaving your home behind. It'll still be here. The important thing is you've got your loved ones and, the memories. And this seems to bolster them. They're a little less afraid now.
I was inspired by seeing their elf servants scurrying about in fear. That's what I was Inspired by, yep.
Okay.
As a great
So-
philosopher once said, home is where the heart is.
Yeah, well,
Heart
Garrick
is in your chest.
tries to improve their spirits by saying, "What was it you're gonna say?"
Back in my day, we ate grass for courage.
All right, so it's time to return to Antiva. And as you are flying, now give me a perception roll, and detect darkspawn will apply.
Oh no.
In total?
Okay.
And 12.
Okay. So, as you're flying back to Antiva City, the hum that's been with you in the back of your head ever since you're joining suddenly increases sharply. It's almost like when someone in a chorus is singing a solo, and then the rest of the chorus chips in. And you have a strange pull towards the east.
Did you feel that?
I thought it might have been indigestion, but yes.
What kind of food do you eat?
So
That's a question for another time.
Do you follow the pull?
Yeah. Let's in character.
Oh,
We should see where this is coming from, just to be safe. I mean, we're on griffins. We can fly.
And let's hope there's no dragon. Okay.
Dragon?
That's what an archdemon is. Big ol' fuck off dragon.
What are the odds we'd run into an archdemon this early?
Depends on if it's a
50-50?
blight or not.
50-50.
Let's stealthily observe.
Okay, give me stealth rolls then.
Oh god.
Stealth is a dexterity roll?
Yes, please.
Oh, excellent.
Okay. I'm not terrible with that anymore. Oh yeah, -1 for the armor penalty.
Armor penalty will not apply because you are stealthing in midair.
Okay. I got a 2, a 6, and a 6 with the dragon die, and that's +3, so that's 15. Wait, no, 17.
Okay.
My roll. Wait. Arrow's following Gary.
Yes.
So-
Okay. So would you like to spend your stunt points on anything?
Let me look and see what the things are, because I know advantageous position would be a good one, because that way we will be able to run away in case there is a.
Is
You know,
the
archdemon
air
sitting
not
over there.
advantageous position?
The air where there is a dragon behind us is not an advantageous position. No. Speedy search.
Speedy search will allow you to fly away if the dragon is there and if it does notice you.
Okay, so I have 5 points, so I may as well make it all. Advantageous position, efficient search, and speedy search.
Okay. What does efficient search do?
Basically any resources. We'd only use half.
Okay. So, you find the horde. And you have an inclination to start counting. How many darkspawn are there? And after a minute, you give up. It's almost like an infinite wave of darkspawn. They're here in the thousands. And yes, you do spot, flying overhead, one big fuck off dragon.
No, like, small fuck off dragon to be found?
No.
Well, I mean, from this far away, it's slightly less big fuck off dragony.
And you are able to use essentially the climate. What is Steve doing?
A round of applause.
Oh. So, you're essentially able to use the darkening skies as sufficient cover. Because it seems as though, as the horde marches towards Antiva City, the clouds turn so dark they're almost black. And you see distant lightning bolts just shoot. And by your estimation, the horde will be in Antiva City in about 2 days.
Oh, 2 days. There's plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Plenty of time for what exactly?
Dying.
Panicking? Oh, okay, that's fair. Oh, we should make haste.
With what little time we have. We gun it.
Alright, so you very quickly fly at top speed, make it back to the city around the time that Harold and Jurgen have finished their inspection of the city. So, you are brought into the throne room where the wardens, along with King Eladio and Queen Giovanna, are debating the necessity of evacuating the city. And so the 4 of you, or 5 of you, Lander is around. So they turn to you and they ask, what do you think?
Let's put some data on the table for everyone. There are about 100 people with any sort of indication that they've been trained for any sort of combat on behalf of the city. You have a lot of shiny things that would be great for stopping a human army. And arguably, the city could be defended in certain ways by closing off points of movement from one level to another. Garrett, Galen, what did you learn?
There's a definitive horde coming.
Thousands. And a dragon.
How
I
far
can-
out are they?
So you say that you see the dragon, and everyone just goes silent. And
Arrow just speaks up in the silence. And how long do you think we have until they get to the city?
2 days. At the most.
At most.
I do believe the conversation topic of evacuation should probably be considered more positively.
so Hubble, the warden captain, turns to Galen and says, are you sure it was a dragon?
Unless you know of other flying darkspawn that are large and look like they'd tell you to fuck off.
And are dragon shaped?
So he leans
Or
back with a
dragon-shaped.
sigh, unscrews his flask, pours it into a cup, takes a long swig, and says, it's official. This is a blight. He looks to the king. The king says, alright, I'll start making the arrangements.
Is there consideration for the small folk to evacuate as well?
Of course, we'll evacuate as many people as we can. And so he sends a messenger to the docks, essentially, with instructing the ship captains to make ready to evacuate the city in an organized fashion. It takes about an hour. And then when the messenger returns, he says, "Sorry, you should come see. You should come see for yourself." And you go there, and when you arrived yesterday, the harbor was full of ships, full of merchant ships, merchant marines, naval vessels. Only the Navy ships remain in the harbor. It seems as though all the merchants, anyone who owns a boat, even just a small pleasure craft, has used it to flee the city. And the problem is that they have not taken on any refugees. They've taken their households, they've taken a couple friends. So the city is without ships, and there are several thousand civilians here. And that's when we're gonna go to break. we return. So, we have learned that the Darkspawn Horde is approaching with an archdemon at the head, so this is well and truly a blight. You have also learned that the citizens, the wealthier citizens of Antiva, have decided to flee the city. This leaves the civilians in a very difficult position because Antiva is at the head of... Essentially, there's no real place for the civilians to walk to that won't risk them encountering the Horde.
Unless
There is no unless.
there is one unless.
What's the one unless?
Unless we can hold the Horde with the walls of the city long enough for people fleeing foot to get to the next potentially safe location.
I like my idea better, which is, unless we buy them enough time for them to build themselves a boat.
You have 2 days.
Like I said, I
Either
like my idea.
Either one of those options involves holding the Horde in place long enough for something to
Yep.
happen that
Yep.
is holding the Horde.
So, here's what happens. There's a warden meeting called by... Let me make sure I name this one correct. Named by Warden Commander Turab. And it's only wardens. So, it's you, it's Garahel, Isaiah, and Hubble, and nobody else. And Turab debriefs Garrick and Galen about what you've seen, and just sort of asks for your estimate of the Horde. And it was Darkspawn beyond counting, so... Sorry, can't. So... And even though it's beyond counting, he sort of asks, you know, did you see a front of the Horde? Did you see a rear of the Horde? How much land space did they take up? And you answer these questions to the best of your ability. And he thinks. And then he debriefs Harold and Jurgen over the fighting capabilities of the city.
They have none.
And I have a feeling some of the city watch was on the ships that left.
I think the city will fall in about 6 hours once the Horde arrives.
I have an idea of how to make it take longer depending on how committed they are to completely scouring the city.
What's your idea?
There are a number of discrete channels that control traffic from one tier to another. If we can set it up in the next 2 days to have some collapse when we want them to, we can funnel or control where the Horde comes while in the city. It certainly won't stop them, but it could slow them down a lot. But we're going to have to do it in a way that allows us to stay underground, or at least out of sight, if that archdemon's going to be involved.
It'll slow them down. This is a city of dead men and women.
Well, the hope is to buy them time so that they can get away.
Aye, but it's wilderness from here to Ravane. We'll do what we can. The focus here is on preserving our resources. And the one thing I'll have to say is that we, the Grey Wardens, are one of the resources to be preserved. We're going to have to tell the world what we know, that the fourth blight has begun.
Are you saying we leave? We abandon the city?
Well, what other option do we have?
Only takes one of us to tell them what's going on.
And it'll take one of us to kill the Archdemon as well. You're a Grey Warden, which means your life is valuable. More valuable. Based on what you can do that a civilian can't.
Harold does not look like he likes that particular statement. What's the point of stopping a blight if we don't protect the people that they're trying to kill?
We are protecting the people. Just not these people. They're already dead.
Aye. And the thing is, you can detect Darkspawn. You can guide the battle. Do you know why? It's the Grey Wardens who fight the Blights. There are legends of the first Blight, the rise of the Archdemon Dumat. All the nations of the world pulled together, building an epic army to finally take him down. And they did. They fought straight to him. Thousands of soldiers died. But they got to him and they killed him. Do you know what happened next? The Archdemon's essence left his body and inhabited that of another Darkspawn. And Dumat was born anew. All those thousands of lives were wasted. And the Blight continued for another dozen years or so. And there were attacks on Dumat. They tried killing him with magic, they tried killing him with lyrium, they tried killing him with blessed iron. None of it worked. He always went back into the body of another Darkspawn. And then our order was founded. And we came up with the joining, and it's the joining that lets us fight the Blight. It has to be a Grey Warden to kill this one. What color was he?
Excuse me, God, did we notice what color the dragon was?
Purple.
Maker, not gods, maker.
Eh.
Andrasi's ashes, use the right terms.
It was purple.
Probably Andral then. So, when a Grey Warden kills an Archdemon, the Archdemon stays dead. But it also kills the Grey Warden too. And as far as we can tell, it's a forever thing. There's no ending up at the side of the Maker or going back into the Fade or whatever happens to us when we die. You're gone. And it's got to be a Grey Warden, because otherwise he'll just come back in the body of another Darkspawn. And that's why we're not going to waste any of your lives on heroics. And it's why, as much as you might not like it, Elf, your life is now more valuable than any 1,000 of civilians in the city.
Wait, we can sense the Darkspawn. We can lead them to safety. as much as we could lead a battle.
Aye. How long do you think it would take 1,000 Darkspawn to catch up with these civilians? How do you think they'd do on a fight on the open plains?
I don't know how long it would take them to catch up, but a fight on the open plains I don't think they could do.
How about we give these people a chance to decide how they want to go?
Aye. We'll give them that chance. But I must be clear, all we're giving them the chance to do is decide if they want to die fighting to defend the city, or if they want to die fleeing.
That is more choice than most people ever get.
Well, we'll give them that choice and we'll see what happens. But there are still resources in this city that we've got to save. So here's the evacuation plan. There's a collection of nobles, leaders. We are each going to take one of them and get them out of the city.
There's an audible grumble.
Because now that we know that this is a blight, we're going to need to collect all the people, all the nations, all the resources. And we need to save the lives of those who have things that they can offer.
So keep the rich so they can feed us.
Essentially, I save the ambassadors, so when they return to their home courts and capitals, they're grateful for having their lives saved and can petition their rulers for aid.
What use are nobles that don't have any of the property that they claim as theirs?
Well, that's the point. We want some of that property.
So none of the locals are coming with us.
Oh, we'll take in the king and the queen. We're taking a few of the locals. But we're not taking any civilians, we just don't have the capacity.
Even for children.
Even for children.
Can I at least see if there's people that might be useful to the cause, worthy of our help among the common folk and not just the people with the titles?
Help doing what?
Could use a talented blacksmith, a mage that's been keeping their head down. You never know. There's a lot of wealth and value in the poor. That they
If
don't.
you want a mage who's been keeping his head down, go talk to Kalian.
I'm just asking for a chance to see if there might be somebody that the local common folk could offer up as somebody who might be helpful.
You've got a day and a half, Warden. Do with it what you will.
When we're done with this, I will.
Alright then. So, here's how it'll be. Galen, I'd like you to take the Orton, the dwarf. Your griffin, he's the largest of the ones. Garrick, I want you to take Amadis. She's, of noble birth, but she also commands a mercenary company. Jurgen, you'll be taking Kalian. And you, elf, you'll take the other elf, the blonde one from Tevinter.
Or one person I'm least likely to throw overboard.
And I want no heroics from any of you. Garahel, you'll take the king. Hubble, you'll take the queen. Any questions?
When do we leave?
Like I said, you've got a day and a half. Anything else?
I have a question.
Aye?
It was stated that we would give the people an option, a choice, to flee or to fight.
Aye?
Is it wise to open up these choices at this time? We know where they're most valuable.
Jurgen gets daggers stared at him.
Quite honestly, Warden Jurgen, I don't think this Elysian elf is going to give me much of a chance. Or much of a choice.
You can order me not to.
I could. But a good commander doesn't give orders he can't enforce. You just got to accept the core fact that all you're doing is giving them a choice of how they want to die. There's no way to save the city.
We owe them at least that much dignity.
And I'll do my best to make sure I tell them this in a way that actually gives them a chance to fight with dignity and not destroy everything in the process.
Aye.
Not to screw us.
Alright then. If that's all, then the next 36 hours are yours to do with as you wish.
Harold just takes off.
Well, Garrick is most useful in a smithy in his mind, so he'll just make weapons.
Okay.
Whoever needs them will get them.
Alright, so you do your best to just bang out anything with a blade. Probably skipping sleep, which is fine because when you sleep you dream and you don't know what sort of dreams you would have this close to the Horde.
You want me to roll for the heck of it?
You know, roll for the heck of it.
Alright.
I'm gonna help out Harold.
20.
Okay.
Nice.
Alright. So you managed to not only make some serviceable weapons, you know, you're going for function over form at this point, but when the people of Antiva see that a Grey Warden has just, you know, instead of doing warden things, he's got hammer and tongs at the forge. You know, a couple other people join, they offer to help, and even though, you know, not everyone who volunteers is a blacksmith, there's still stuff that they could do. You know, bring water, stoke the fire, do the thing. So you manage to produce, you know, how long does it take to make a sword?
Sword a while, a sharp, pointy piece of metal, not that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A pointy stick with metal.
Yeah, so, you know, what happens is people will bring you their tools, and you can bang them into something that is more weapon-like. You've got a couple dozen just jury-rigged weapons.
I will also, as I'm talking to people, try and encourage as many people with those skills
Mm-hmm.
to make their way to Garrick to be put to work.
Okay. What is Jurgen up to?
Jurgen is going directly to Kalen.
Alright. Yeah, you find him packing, putting all of his belongings into just a leather satchel, and essentially deciding what he keeps and what he leaves behind.
You are my responsibility now.
am I?
You are my assignment. I will get you out of the city when the time comes.
Good.
Please be efficient and intelligent with your packing. It will give us the most amount of options and opportunity. I'm ready to leave when you are.
I believe we're all leaving together tomorrow.
And I'll just stand there and look at him.
He's a mage. He's probably spent some time in the circle, so he's kind of used to tranquil being tranquil. And he just
oh, sorry.
starts talking about what he's packing. And a lot of it, like, there's a couple clothes, there's a book or two, there's a keepsake. He's also packing, like, a lot of poison. Like, not an industrial amount, but I can handle my business amount.
Dope.
Yeah, and he will ask you if you have any interest in poisons, and he will offer to teach you a couple recipes.
I've learned the ways of healing in order to best help my fellow Grey Wardens. I do believe at times poisons would be the better choice. Yes, I would like to learn.
Tell me, is it true that the Grey Wardens don't mind blood magic so much?
The Grey Wardens are interested in anything that can be used against Darkspawn.
I'd like to join.
That can be arranged.
Perhaps after we flee. I've heard it's a rough process, but in exchange for the chance to join, here's what I'll teach you. He teaches you how to make crow poison.
Well, that's a jump from 0 to 100.
When the Andean blood mage crow decides it's time for a career change.
Steve is doing a happy dance. Jurgen is just like, cool.
Well, now I can outsource the learning of poisons so that Jurgen can put them on my knives.
Alright, so speaking of Harrow and Galen.
I would also like to take a spin to get Tavriel in on this as somebody who leads whole bunches of people against,
Okay.
dominate. Probably better.
It won't be difficult to find Tavriel because he's actually looking for Galen. So, and I assume Galen isn't trying to stay hidden.
Nope, he's unsuspecting.
Alright, so you find this gorgeous blonde-haired elf. Finds you doing whatever you're doing, possibly tending Arrow in the stable. Says, cousin.
Oh, hello, you're Tavriel, yes?
Why, it's good to see another of the people here. Have they been treating you well?
Only because I'm a Grey Warden.
Aye. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm
What's
all
your
over.
clan?
Out of character. Did I create a clan?
If you can.
What
You're
are they
certainly
normally?
I'm sorry?
What are they normally, like? What are the options?
So, there's a bunch of different clan names. Trying to get to that. No, I don't want claim, I want clan.
Clam? I am
I
of
know.
Clan Clam, related to the Oyster Clan.
uh, yeah, so essentially there's a bunch of different elven clans. They each have a clan name. There we go. So the clans are essentially like tribes. They are the groups that travel together. Um, and so there we are. So the clan names date back from are said to date back from the time even before the Dales. So if you look on page 42 at the
The
top
answer,
of the I'm sorry?
sorry, the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
The answer is on page 42. You've got some Dalish clan names at the top of the left-hand column.
PDF. My computer doesn't really like those, but that's okay. 42.
Yeah, and so there hasn't necessarily been anything really fleshed out about like what makes Dalish clans distinct from each other. But if you want to say that your clan had a particular emphasis on one thing or another, like I'm totally fine with that.
Oh, oh
So
crud.
like one thing could be like maybe your clan knows the most lore about the Dalish, or your clan is really good working with ironbark, which is this particular sort of wood that grows in Thedas that is sturdy enough to be turned into weapons and armor. Or your clan is known for being having friendly relations with the Shemlin or having hostile relations with the Shemlin.
Let's go with hostile.
Okay. So in that case, you would come from a clan of, let's say, guerrilla warfare, where they're good at, they're always ready for a fight, and they're good at knowing where to hit humans, Shemlins, to for greatest effect.
Ooh, okay. So, hmm. I mashed up a clan name. I
Okay.
mashed up Redway and Winbow and make Redbow.
Cool. That's a great clan name for the guerrilla warfare clan.
Because blood. Sorry.
Oh, you're edible then.
Yes. So don't probably say that around the Shem.
Oh, I won't.
I mean,
I don't
not that
think
it.
they'd even know what it meant.
That's true, and not that it would matter with a blight. So,
Well, I was from, well, I don't think my clan exists anymore, but I was from Bronwyn. It was one calamity after another. Uh, There were some sickness, and we had to leave our places earlier than usual. Then we got into a fight with some Templars over our keeper having magic. So when the slavers came, well, there wasn't much we could do.
have you ever tracked them down, or has anyone?
Oh, the slavers who took me?
Yes.
Ugh. No, but, not the ones who took me, but I've killed enough slavers to make up for it. There's a rebellion brewing into Victor.
I heard about that from the stable hands, and I believe my friend here, Harold, is very interested. And I am as well. We've been
Right.
there, it's not.
I see by your ears that you're an elf, but by your face, forgive me for saying it, but you're not of the people, are you?
I'm from Valroyo Alienage.
Oh,
But I do dabble in sparking rebellions and increasing the friction of the lives of nobles who get too upsetting.
well, that's good. We're trying to bring more and more to our cause, but the biggest thing we've got to overcome is fear. They're afraid of what happens if they run and if they're caught again.
Well, when you can be executed for making somebody itchy as easily as stabbing them in the back in a dark alley, fear stops really being a factor in your choices.
Oh, hi, the fear's totally justified. The Tevinter masters aren't gentle to those they catch. They're the first ones up on the altar. They'll talk a good game about how Holy Andraste herself forbade the blood magic. But every noble house still has the knives and the knowledge and the books. They all indulge.
Privilege.
Aye. And who cares if they do it to an elf?
Not just to venture that attitude.
In Tevinter, it's rampant. At least Kalian's got the good manners to try and disguise what he does.
Oh, the mercenary?
Less mercenary, more assassin. Amadis is the mercenary. She doesn't like to admit it, but she's got a noble family. She's a Vale. Her family rules Starkhaven. There's a lot you can learn, because nobody watches their tongue in front of an elf.
Interesting.
Aye, your legion's a spy as well.
I never would have guessed.
Aye.
So you know the score? What's gonna happen?
I'm told that I've won a seat out on your griffins. I'm not quite happy about it, but I've got a lot of people back in Tevinter depending on me to make the rebellion work.
You're the only person they're trying to get out that I won't dump out of hand. So
Well, I'm grateful for that.
So you're gonna be on Druil with me.
I'll say that the dwarf isn't a bad sort either. He's been doing the best he can. Apparently, they've got some sort of complicated caste system. So he's technically a bastard, but he's a noble bastard. So by the rules of his society, he's got to have some sort of status.
Well, he
But
has
they don't.
his last name's the same of the place he's from, so
I don't quite understand it myself, but apparently they use him as an ambassador to keep him on the surface and away from their fine family.
So, do you have any plans for the next day or so before we leave?
Well, try not to die, I suppose. Try not to kill your Tevinter friend.
Well, Galen and I were gonna go and see if we couldn't give the common folk around here a chance to, go with dignity. At least choose how they go out. And from what I hear, you've got a pretty good reputation getting people organized and moving in a certain direction, even if their life is on the line.
I'll do what I can. I'll try and save as many elves as I can.
You know, I find it funny that we're more willing to help the commoners, even if they're humans, than the humans are to help their own.
Well, I guess we know the value of helping each other.
The smell of a boot is the same regardless of who is putting it on your neck.
That's a good way to put it.
And it's not, it's not some laundry washer who's responsible for making sure that, elves don't get anything.
Oh, then let's get to it.
All right. We want to go in a group, or do we each take a subsection?
Well, I think because you were raised in an alienage, I think you might have the best shot talking to the alienage elves. I've cultivated the elves here in the palace. I'll talk to them. I don't know of any clans in the area. I guess that's a good thing. They won't be in the path of the Darkspawn.
And Galen, you have a mystique about you that might actually get some common folk to listen.
Mystique or
Oh, it's a
stubbornness?
mystique. I think if I told you what I've overheard the stable girl saying about you, your ears would turn red forever.
Oh, well, I suppose I can. I can do that.
And if you want to have a little bit of fun along the way, just make sure they know what's going on.
That is true. I can simply go, there's a blight coming. Leave.
That's not all!
God damn it, Steven.
Alright, so you organize the city to. We're just not going to dignify that with a response. So you organize the city defenses, and the one thing that you pick up, Harold, is bitterness. There's a sentiment that the king betrayed his people by failing to listen to the wardens until it was too late.
Harold does nothing to dissuade them of that opinion.
Okay.
Because that Harold agrees. But it's no longer. But the bitterness exists, but it's no longer enough to justify ignoring what needs to be done.
All right. So, you're out in the city. You're organizing the elves of the alienage. Galen, are you in the palace? Out of the palace?
I think, considering the palace, everyone there would already know about all this, because word travels fast. He'd probably be out in the city, helping those people move along.
Okay. What about Garrick and Jurgen?
Well, this is a trick question.
Jurgen is no joke. He is standing maybe 10 feet away from Kalen at all times, from the time I walked into his room to the time we get on the Griffin.
Okay.
If he goes anywhere, I just follow him. It's not stealthy. I'm just there. He is my responsibility. He is my job.
All right.
You will survive this town.
Yeah, and after I've finished making up a whole bunch of weapons, I'll find who I'm supposed to give the ride to, because I don't actually know a I've not met them yet.
Okay. Nuts. Amadis Vale.
Yes.
Well, you don't know that she's a Vale yet. So, Garrick, you return to the palace after a long day at the forge, just covered in sweat and soot and iron filings. And there's nothing you want so much as a wash and then a couple hours of sleep before the griffins depart in the morning. And Jurgen is following Kalian everywhere. So, and Kalian doesn't mind. But it does mean that when he's called, yes, Galen?
I need to know, when he has to use the privy, does he follow them too? Like, what, this poor guy.
That's between Jurgen and Kalian. So, when you hear the cries of assassins, yeah, so you hear this, Garrick, and like the sounds of activity and rushing in the palace, and Kalian hears this, and he heads towards the throne room to see what the fuck is up. So, Jurgen, I assume, will follow?
Oh, yeah. Caitlin's going?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What's Garrick doing? Are you just like, I'm too tired for this bullshit, or is it like more bullshit to deal with?
I feel like Garrick's response is a slow turnaround and trudge in the direction of the king's chambers.
Alright. So, you know how sometimes in the Roman Empire, when the emperor just sucked, his own Praetorian Guard would turn against him?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what's happened now. You okay, Steve?
Just the way you said that.
So, what you see is a group of the Royal Guard. One of them, the leader, with a bloody sword, and there is King Eladio on the floor of the throne room, clearly dead. And there is Garahel and Hubble and Turab trying to defend the Queen, who is, certainly not happy with this turn of events. So you can see there's some blood on her dress. You don't know whose it is. It could be Eladio's, it could be hers. You don't know if she's injured, but she's screaming and crying about traitors. And the man with the bloody sword is saying, "You're the true traitors. You're the one who's leaving us all here to die."
Someone should handle this.
I'm still about a quarter way there as I trudge myself slowly there. This is an issue, but it's not that big of an issue yet.
Okay. And you see, Hubble saying, "This is madness. We're doing the best we can." And the man with the bloody sword is saying, "Aye, we want justice first. If we're going to die, we're going to take this bitch down with us."
Does she hold any strategic value?
Well, she's now the ruling monarch of Antiva, for what that's worth.
But
The city
Antiva's
that's
about to die.
Yup.
So does she hold any... With my cunning of 5...
Go ahead and make the roll.
She is the newly formed queen of a dead city. Alright, hold on. R3d6 plus 5. Does heraldry count here? Probably
No,
not,
because you
yeah.
know her affiliation.
Fair enough. Okay. Ooh, that hurts.
Yeah,
Ouch.
fuck her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no. That's what I say. I say, she holds no strategic value. Her life is unimportant to the Grey Warden cause.
And Kayleen will lean over and whisper to you, "Aye, but she could rally the nobles, all the ones who fled already."
Blank stare.
Okay.
No response. In my head, I'm going like, "Ah, shit, yeah, it's probably a really good idea." Fuck.
Garrick, what are you up to?
I'm presuming by this point in time, I'm probably like getting to the
Yeah,
actual
you're there.
area.
You're there. You see all this happen.
I would have no idea if she holds strategic value or not.
I mean, she's a queen. They do queenly shit all the time.
Could I give it a try?
Yeah, go ahead.
And that was cunning.
Yes.
Would military lore be helpful in this?
Yes, and it will. If you use military lore, it will tinge the flavor of the information you receive.
That is perfect. I like it.
Okay.
And 3, 3, 6, so 12 plus 3 is 15. And that's 3 dragon die.
Okay. So while you look up your stunt points, I will let you know. So as a military commander, she has no strategic value because Zentiva has no armies. But she could be useful. Essentially just like have her visit the court of Orlais or the court of Ferelden, or like go on tour in the Marcher cities, and just have her cry about how much she has lost, and essentially use that as sympathy points to get people to donate more of their armies to fighting the Blight.
Good point. We always need somebody to speak about how much they've lost so that you know why you should help, because if we don't, you're going to be stuck there too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. Sway the crowd, interpersonal effects, spill over others in the area. One additional person of choice, past original target. Stun silence instead. It basically gives me time to knock them all speechless for a moment, giving me time to do another action. In this instance, try to interpose myself between myself and the queen and them so that there's one more person in the way as I try and explain to them this is not her fault. You should not blame her for her husband's actions. We all should know that this queen has been loving and caring to you all from the beginning. She did not want to leave you.
Alright, give me a communication roll. This one's important. She's gonna live or die depending on this roll.
I believe in you. Don't fuck it up.
I dropped that one. I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to use that one I dropped on the ground.
Don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up.
Fuck it up. Don't fuck it up.
Okay, so I have no opinion about how this roll has to go.
Is a 10 good?
Difficult roll.
Even I got 2 stunt dice.
Is there any stunt that you think might help the situation?
And another thing. And another thing. Your voice will be heard, and the cry for help that you all so desperately
Okay.
need will be heard, and they will come to save the kingdom who already lost their poor forgotten king.
All right. So, it says you may make an additional test. So,
Yes.
because this is essentially you're talking military strategy to military-minded people, being the guard, I will allow you to make a cunning test, and you may use your military lore focus.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Maker. Oh, and that was so much better because that's 11, 12, 13, 16.
Okay, excellent. So, with that, you essentially describe her as a war asset and nothing more. Like, I don't fucking care about her life, but I care about what she's capable of. And this gets them to back down, especially because they have already killed the king, who was the main source of their ire. But then they ask, and what do we do when the Darkspawn are streaming over the walls and despoiling our families?
You fight them until you die.
He's not wrong.
You're holding the line until more people come to help.
And that is when the palace shakes as this tremendous peal of thunder crashes over the whole city. The Archdemon is here. The Horde is here. Hours ahead of schedule, but they're at the walls, they're at the gates.
Pick up your sword.
I made some pointy ones.
He does so. He's like, alright, men. It's been an honor and a privilege. I'll see you at the side of the Maker. And then Garahel says, oh, we've got to evacuate now. To the Eyrie. And all of the wardens and their chosen riders head to the Eyrie. There's an empty griffin seat, so that means someone else will be allowed to leave the city. So, for Harold and Galen in the city when this happens, what do you do?
Head back to where we know the other Grey Wardens are. Something's
Okay.
obviously changed.
Alright, so you run through the city, and so the sky has turned black. Not dark gray the way it does in a heavy rain, but black. And there's thunder, and there's lightning. And all the lightning does is illuminate the thousands, the tens of thousands of Darkspawn up against the wall, pounding it, trying to get past it. And you realize that the estimation of 6 hours was pretty generous. This city has 4 hours at most. And you start to smell smoke as fires break out, as rioting breaks out.
It was this or suddenly disappear from a cat stepping on a power button.
Oh no. Well, we are
Speaking
glad
of-
to keep you.
She was playing footsie with it. I was really worried.
The Darkspawn would have stepped on your power cable.
She is the Darkspawn.
Alright, so,
My little archdemon.
I know. Oh, they'd murder us all if they were big enough.
Oh,
And they corrupt
yeah.
us all to be loyal to them.
So, You all make your way to the Griffin Eyrie, to suiting up towards taking on your rider.
Harold will be late because he will be stopping as he's running toward the area, and kind of being like, to arms, get to the, like, giving all these people, like, get to the walls. He sees, some kids with an adult, get them underground, hide, and passes them, like, a dagger, and just kind of grabs one of the adults and says, if the Darkspawn get close enough, you know what you need to do with this. And he looks at the kids.
They seem to understand.
And he does everything he can to organize and help everybody that on the way up, to give them as good a chance as possible to fight and survive as long as they can. So he will be late.
All right. So this creates a panic. As there's an argument. Where the fuck is Harold? We can't leave without him. Well, we're going to have to. Just as Harold crashes in.
And his Griffin won't be going anywhere without him, because we got a bond.
All right. So, you all take to the skies. You okay, Galen?
Kitty was getting smooches. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So, is there anything that you would like to do in the process of evacuating, of suiting up your griffin, of taking off with your rider in tow?
I don't think there's anything.
Hey, Galen, can Arrow take another child?
Maker, how much can my griffin carry?
2 fully armed and armored adults.
There was one open seat because the king is no longer there.
Yeah, Harold sees that. He's like, the fuck? You don't give me a minute. And he runs back out and goes to try and find a little elf kid.
So the empty seat is now taken by Eleonora, the Ferelden ambassador.
Harold still goes and tries to find a kid.
Okay, you try, but
I will
you're...
go down to the kitchens to grab one of the kids.
Okay, you try, but, essentially, Hubble says, it's too late! Get on your griffin! Get into the air, now!
Hesitation, looks to the door, looks back at the griffins. A lot of cursing. And gets on the griffin.
Okay. So...
The inner conflict.
I would like animal handling rolls from all of you, please.
Animal handling? What the hell is that?
I believe is cunning?
I think it can also be communication.
Yes.
So if we have it in communication, can we add that?
I'll
Yes.
go with cunning because that puts me at 12.
16.
Okay.
12 total for me. And a lost die.
Sorry, I'm having trouble typing.
I wonder why.
I know.
There we go. 16.
Nice.
Harold's good with the animals.
Cat was good luck.
No, actually, that was a terrible roll. That was a 3 average.
How much was it?
16.
Okay. And what was that for Galen?
That was that was 11. No, that was 12 total. Sorry.
All right. So you struggle, Galen, a little bit. Again, Arrow's going to be a follower for this one. So, as you fly through the dark, smoky air, you hear the screams. Or maybe you only think you hear the screams? You're kind of far away. But maybe there's just that many people crying and dying in the city as you flee.
There's tears.
And I'm gonna make this one.
There are no tears.
I'm gonna make this one
It's
random.
okay, Jurgen. I'll feel for the both of us.
Jurgen,
Hi.
what's your defense?
A number? 13.
Okay. Gonna roll something.
No.
There's nothing in the air that might be dangerous,
No.
like an archdemon,
No.
which is really just a dragon on darkspawn steroids.
No. Stop rolling.
So,
You keep rolling.
I know, I was rolling for Kalian.
Stop. No. No.
So, what happens is Kalian cries out in pain as a lance of blue-black lightning just shoots out of the sky. And he's still alive. And he looks at you. And he looks at his broken skin from the lightning attack and just starts casting blood magic.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Just does a little reverse cowboy here, like.
And looking over at him and what he's doing, you see the face of a purple-black dragon, and you immediately recognize it as the dragon from your dreams. The dreams that you've had since becoming tranquil.
So if we kill it now, we end the blight.
Yeah!
And the game.
This actually seems to be Garahel's idea as well. As he flies on his griffin towards the archdemon. And Garahel's an archer, and he's a really good archer. And so he fires off a couple arrows that sink into the archdemon's scaly skin. And it roars. And it turns on Garahel. And you can see him like making a couple signs where it's clear that his intention is to distract the archdemon long enough for the rest of you to get away, and he'll catch up later. So,
Are there
is there anything...
griffin-based evasive maneuvers?
That's mostly just going to be dexterity rolls.
Okay. Interesting.
Seeing all of this happen, what are the rest of you doing?
I'm at the behest of Arrow.
Okay. Well, I mean, so you could try firing your own arrows from Griffinback. You could try drawing its attention away from Garahel, but that would be drawing it back to you.
Who is on Garahel's griffin with him?
It's empty.
Because he was supposed to take the king, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no. The Ferelden ambassador took his place.
Uh-huh.
So there's just this woman with elaborately braided hair, sort of panicking.
Oops.
Well,
Honestly, it Harold looks at the situation and is like, let's get the hell out of here, and goes full speed, taking
Okay.
Garahell's distraction.
Garrick is going to think that he wants to stay, look down at all the monsters in Darkspawn, and start to fly away.
All right. So the last thing that you see before the clouds of black fog roll in is the archdemon Jaws snapping Garahell's griffin in half. And he tumbles hundreds of feet down to the ground. And his sister, Isaiah, on her own griffin, sees this happening. And you watch her just scream in horror and grief. And you can't hear it, but just based on her face, her wide open mouth, you know the sound that she's making. But your griffins fly onward. They fly through the lightning and the thunder and the darkspawn, the waves after wave of darkspawn. And it takes all night until your griffins, exhausted, simply can't fly another meter, and you land on the outskirts of Wickham. This is a small village in the Green Dales, just north of Starkhaven. And you land, and your passengers are all... They survive. A little worse for the wear, but they're alive. And Isaiah is screaming and crying and insisting they have to go back for Garahel. But Hubble is insisting that's not possible. And as you look around, taking a census, you realize another thing. Tulrop didn't make it. So it's you, it's Isaiah, and it's Hubble.
Who is on Turok's griffin?
On Turob's, it was one of the remaining Antivan nobles.
Is the queen still alive with us?
The queen, yes, that is who the queen. Yes, the queen is alive. You saved her life.
Okay.
Completely.
Sorry,
all the guests, all the friends.
yes. Sorry, in the book she dies. So, but you saved her life. So she's the one who was on. Well, no, she died. She's gone. Sorry.
That was a whirlwind.
Wait, wait,
That was a roller coaster. Yeah,
Wait.
go.
what?
So the queen is dead.
Aladeda dead.
Unless something happened and Turop got blown off course. Garahel dead.
Queen alive.
No, the
Unknown.
queen is with Tarab, who is MIA instead of KIA at the moment.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay. Man. I hope she didn't die. I missed a shower for that.
Hubble. You're in command, I guess.
Oh, I guess.
Do we go and look for Turok and maybe try and find Garahel, or is there somewhere else we should be going?
And Isaiah cuts in, just sobbing. Yes, we have got to go find Garahel. And Hubble just takes hold of her and like, you saw the same thing I did, Les. I'm sorry. Your
Harold
brother's
doesn't even
gone."
acknowledge her for the moment.
Mhm.
He's just looking at Hubble like either you're in charge or you're not.
Yeah, so he takes some time to sort of comfort Isaiah, bring her down, and just convince her like, your brother's dead, and there's no use going back. Look at that sky. We can't fly that again. Look at the griffins. They're about ready to pass out. We'll inscribe your brother's name in the log of the lost, but lost he is. And Isaiah just sort of peels off and just falls apart, essentially on her own. Tavriel tries to comfort her. How about the rest of you?
Harold starts tending the griffins, making sure they get food, cleaning them, tending any injuries.
Alright, as you do this, the sun starts to rise. And you look over Wickham. And it's this beautiful pastoral village. There's these green rolling hills, and you can see the harvest is about ready to be brought in. And there's smoke coming from the chimneys, and people going about their business. And they start to take notice of you, and they're like, oh, what's that? Like, oh, a bunch of griffins and people in the middle of the field. And you look at just sort of this idyllic scene with the knowledge of what is about to happen to them. And that is where we will end tonight's session.
Rad!
Cool.
Do we go up a level for surviving an archdemon?
You do not. But fun fact, I am basing a lot of this off the book Last Flight, which is a telling of the story of the Fourth Flight. Garahel is the one who kills the archdemon in that book. That's why I killed him off.
Crap.
If I recall, also it has a love interest in Amadis.
Well, she's gonna be super lonely unless one
that
of
is
you picks that up.
Well, technically you gave that job to Garrick because I took her with my griffin.
Different type of ride.
Damn, Steve's in the gutter today.
Alright. So, that is the show. Thank you
back
to
into
all my wonderful players and to the hilarious audience. Stick around, because in about an hour we will be playing Curse of Strahd. No, they are on holiday break. I take that back.
No Strahd.
Carry on.
There are no curses. There's no Strahd.
Or Castradra? What do we...
Here we go, Estradening.
Check with your malevolent dark forces for the next time and place.
Yes, as Chloe Siren says, the vampires are in their coffins. Anyway, if you do want more Dragon Age content, then swing by on Wednesdays as I play through Dragon Age 2 on stream. And if you enjoy tabletop RPGs, then come by on Friday for more Dune. There's also plans to do a pre-record of Girl by Moonlight, one of Evil Hat's newest titles about queer magical girls. But Gremlins, oh my god, all the Gremlins. It's terrible. So, I will announce that when there's actual content, because all the Gremlins. Anyway, if we just want to do one final round of who we are and where you can find us next on this wild, beautiful, chaotic intergress.
Oh, hey everybody. I've been Galen of Clan Redbow. Uh, this evening for you. You can find me grieving the snapped in half griffin all over the internet as Am Changeling and on Etsy at Thornkind. You can find me playing again 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Dune on this channel, cause Dune.
Hello and goodbye, all. I'm Devin. You can find me online at Sword of Sullied. I have been Garrick, trying to figure out how I am somehow being the most militaristic person of the group when I came from being a blacksmith.
You took military lore.
Yup. Somehow that turned me into, we must save the queen so that she can get us money.
I mean, just wait till Hubble dies. I mean, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Oh god, am I gonna be in charge?
Congratulations, General.
Either you or me.
Oh god, I'm gonna be in charge?
You could put the Tranquil in charge.
Oh god, I'm in charge!
I mean,
Some of us
Hubble's alive for now.
Oh god, I'm gonna be in charge!
Speaking of the
I
Tranquil,
never said that.
speaking of the Tranquil being in charge, hello. Oh,
Gary.
sorry. Sorry.
Blackwell had a daddy. Their daddy's name was Garrett.
Hello, everybody. My name is Steve. My pronouns are he, him. You can find me on the internet. More specifically, you can find me in our wonderful maker slash storytellers Discord server as Voodoo Arcade. Not really on social media. I'm slowly migrating out of it. But I'm there, talking, hanging out, posting wrestling stuff because it makes me happy. And this is the only game I play in, so tune in next Monday to see me play this Tranquil Jurgen some more.
We're happy that this is the one thing you do on stream.
Hi, I'm Brody. I have been your amicable anarchist heroine. You can find me at the Rava1 on Twitter. I only play in this game on Monday afternoons or nights for the East Coasters. But, you know, I might be flapping around in the universe, so pay attention. And I might be over your shoulder someday. And the cat's name is Tana.
We like the kitty.
Kitty.
She's here now.
She's a sweetheart. All right. Thank you all. I have been your game runner slash maker. My name is Rachel. You can find me Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere. On social media platforms, such as the Burning Bird app and those yet to be found. A shout out for Critical K, who could not be with us today. Hope all is well there. And so, yeah, I'll be back here on Wednesday, and then on Friday, and then back here on Monday again. So, good night, everybody.